What was the Kesavananda Bharati case? The Kesavananda Bharati others versus State of Kerala case, often known as the Fundamental Rights case, is unquestionably one of the most significant decisions in Indian constitutional history, if not the most significant verdict of the post-independence era. SM Sikri CJ. Hegde J, Mukherjee J, Shehlat J, Grover J, Jagan Mohan Reddy J, and Khanna J delivered the majority verdict in the case. Ray J, Palekar J, Matthew J, Beg J, Dwivedi J, and Chandrachud J dissented. It is accurate to say that the decision in the current case ended the struggle between the government and the court and saved the nation's democratic structure and framework. The case's final ruling was the outcome of a protracted legal battle between N.A. Palkivala, who represented the petitioners, and H.M. Saurabh, two constitutional heavyweights and legal giants who represented the state of Kerala. The lengthy hearing in the case lasted for 68 days, and on April 24, 1973, a lengthy judgment of 703 pages was issued. Recent update about the Kesavananda Bharati case. Kesavananda Bharati, the primary petitioner in the Kesavananda Bharati Sripada Galvaru and Ors v. State of Kerala case 1973, famous for establishing the Supreme Court's basic structure concept, passed away on September 6, 2020, in Idnir Math, at the age of 79, from diseases associated with aging. Background of the Kesavananda Bharati case 1973. According to the rulings in the Shankari Prasad case 1951 and the Sajjan Singh case, the Supreme Court gave Parliament unrestricted authority to modify the Constitution 1965. The court had reached the conclusion that in both situations, the term law in Article 13 must be understood to refer to rules or regulations passed in the course of standard legislative authority, instead of amendments to the Constitution made in the course of exercising constituent power under Article 368. This implies that any provision of the Constitution, including the fundamental rights, may be changed by the Parliament. A law made in violation of Article 13(2), which states that the state shall not create any law which takes away or abridges the right granted by this part, i.e., Part 3, and any law made in contravention of this article shall, to the extent of the contravention, be void, is not always complied with. However, the Supreme Court ruled in the Golaknath case 1967 that only a constituent assembly would have the authority to change the Constitution and that Parliament could not amend fundamental rights. According to the court, if an amendment takes away or abridges a fundamental right granted by Part 3, it is void since it constitutes law within the meaning of Article 13 of the Constitution. The then government passed significant constitutional revisions in order to overturn the Supreme Court's rulings in the Golaknath case, 1967, the R.C. Cooper case, 1970, and the Madhavrao Scindia case, 1970. Most prominently, the 24th Constitutional Amendment Act of 1971 granted Parliament the authority to change any provision of the Constitution. The right to property had been eliminated as a fundamental right by the 25th Constitutional Amendment Act of 1972. Significance of Kesavananda Bharati case. The judgment is regarded as the second most significant text after the Indian Constitution. The Supreme Court convened its largest ever bench of 13 judges to hear the case. In the Kesavananda Bharati case, relief was requested from two state land reform legislation under the 9th Schedule that placed limitations on the management of the holy property and were directed against the Kerala government. According to this interpretation, Parliament could change any part of the Constitution as long as the changes did not affect the fundamental design or core principles of the document. The late Kesavananda Bharati referred to it as God's decision. Because the amending power was made subject to the fundamental framework, the seer won the war despite losing the battle. Important facts about Kesavananda Bharati verse. State of Kerala. Kesavananda Bharati served as the head priest of the Idnir Mutt, a monastic religious organization having its main office in Kasaragod, Kerala in the Mutt. Bharati possessed some property. The Kerala State Legislature passed the Land Reforms Amendment Act in 1969. This act gave the government permission to buy a portion of Mutt's lands. In accordance with Section 32 of the Constitution, Bharati filed a Supreme Court petition in March 1970 to uphold the following rights. 1. Article 14. Right to equality. 2. Article 19(1). F. Freedom to acquire property. 3. Article 25. Right to practice propagate religion. 4. Article 26. Right to manage religious affairs. 5. Article 31. Compulsory acquisition of property. Even as the court was considering the petition, the Kerala state government passed another law, the Kerala Land Reforms Amendment Act, in 1971. The Article 31, Compulsory Acquisition of Property, Kerala Land Reforms Amendment Act, 1971.